All right, so we wanted to go over SB 1331, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice, because there are some amendments to this bill. And so the amendments were published on May 6th, 2024. All right, this was introduced by Senator Bradford on February 16th, 2024. But just to reiterate, the amendments were made on May 6th, 2024.
Yes, and the last read through we did on this bill, which is our funding bill for reparations, very, very, very important, was on May the 5th, that Sunday. So these are just a few of the new updates.
Thank you for that. All right, here we go. An act to add Chapter 6.1, commencing with Section 6630 to Division 7 of Title 1 of the Government Code relating to state government. Legislative Council's Digest, SB 1331, as amended, Bradford, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice. Previously existing law, established until July 1st, 2023. The task force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Previously existing law required the task force to, among other things, identify, compile, and synthesize the relevant corpus of evidentiary documentation of the institution of slavery that existed within the United States and the colonies that became the United States, as specified, and to recommend appropriate remedies in consideration of the task force findings as specified. Previously existing law required the task force to submit a written report of its findings and recommendations to the legislature as specified. Existing law establishes a special fund for economic uncertainties and requires the controller to make, among other transfers between that fund and the general fund, a transfer from the general fund to the special fund for economic uncertainties of the unencumbered balance in the general fund at the end of each fiscal year. Existing law continuously appropriates monies in the special fund for economic uncertainties to the Director of Finance for the purpose of allocating funds for disaster relief as specified. The bill would establish a fund for reparations and reparative justice in the state treasurer for the purpose of funding policies approved by the legislature and the governor that address the harm that the state of California has caused to descendants of an African American chattel enslaved person or descendants of a free black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. The bill would require the controller to transfer from the Special Fund for Economic Uncertainties to the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice an amount equal to 6% of transfers from the general fund to the special fund for economic uncertainties as specified. Upon appropriation, the bill would require the monies in the fund for reparations and reparative justice to be expended for the above described purpose. The bill would authorize the fund to receive monies from any other federal, state, or local grant or from any private donation or grant as specified. The bill would also make related findings and declarations. Vote majority, appropriation no, fiscal committee yes, local program no.
The people of the state of California do enact as follows: Section 1, Chapter 6.1, commencing with Section 6630, is added to Division 7 of Title 1 of the Government Code to read Chapter 6.1, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice, 6630. The legislature finds and declares all of the following. A. California has begun the process of addressing the state's role in accommodating and facilitating slavery as documented in the California Reparations Report and sources cited therein, perpetuating the vestiges of enslavement, propagating state sanctioned discrimination, and facilitating persistent systemic policies and practices discriminating against living African Americans across its systems of government at the local and state level. B. As a result of this historic and continued discrimination, African Americans in California, especially those whose lineage can be traced to an enslaved person, continue to suffer economic, educational, and health hardships that have prevented them as a people from achieving equality. C. In order to maintain slavery, government actors adopted white supremacist beliefs and passed laws to create a racial hierarchy and control enslaved and free African Americans. D. After the end of slavery, although the federal constitution recognized African Americans as citizens on paper, the government failed to give them the full rights of citizenship and failed to protect them from widespread terror and violence. E. Along with a declaration of the United States' duty to protect its African American citizens, direct state and local government actions in California continue to enforce the racist lies created to justify slavery. These state laws and government supported cultural beliefs have since formed the foundation to enumerate modern laws, policies, and practices across the state and nation. F. Even after the abolition of slavery, its badges and incidents remain embedded in the political, legal, health, financial, educational, cultural, environmental, social, and economic systems in the United States of America and the state of California. Racist, um, casteist, untrue, and harmful stereotypes created to support slavery continue to physically and mentally harm African Americans today. G, without a remedy specifically targeted to dismantle our country's racist policies and practices and heal the injuries inflicted by colonial state and American governments, the badges and instances of slavery will continue to harm African Americans in almost all aspects of American life. H, the legislature recognizes and accepts responsibility for all of the harms and atrocities committed by representatives of the state who promoted, facilitated, enforced, and permitted the institution of chattel slavery and its legacy of ongoing badges and instances of slavery that form the systemic structures of discrimination. I, the legislature intends that the benefits issued under the chapter be dedicated to policies or programs that address the harm that the state of California has caused to descendants of African American chattel enslaved persons or descendants of free blacks living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century.
6631.A. There is hereby created in the state legislature or in the state treasury the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice for the purpose of funding policies approved by the legislature and the governor that address the harm that the state of California has caused to descendants of an African American chattel enslaved person in the United States or descendants of a free black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. B. The controller shall transfer from the Special Fund for Economic Uncertainties to the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice an amount as determined by the Department of Finance equal to 6% of the transfers from the General Fund to the Special Fund for Economic Uncertainties, as specified in the Annual Budget Act. Upon appropriation by the legislature, the monies in the fund shall be expended for the purpose described in subdivision A. C. The Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice may receive monies from any other federal, state, or local grant or from any private donation or grant for the purpose of this chapter.
All right, let's unpack some of these amendments.
All right. So the first one is says looks like approved by the legislature and the governor that address the harm that the state of California has caused to. So instead of using indemnify, they redacted that and decided to use address the harm that the state of California has caused.
All right, so let's see here. You want to share the screen there? Indemnify, compensate someone for harm or loss, the amount of insurance that may be carried to indemnify the owner in the event of a loss. So they removed indemnify, which is defined as compensate, to put in what do we have? address. Well, what do you make of that?
Hmm. That's very. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they would switch it, but address the harm. I mean, let's see what was. Well, they added the state of California. I don't know why they wanted to change that. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, just on the surface level, indemnify, equates to compensate, and compensate equates to, dollar figures, in my opinion. So to address, I mean, could be to address by other means, creating policy programs or other forms of restitution. Um, just would be my thought off the top of my head.
Well, I guess the question is, was this change or amendment necessary? Really, in our opinion.
Right. I mean, just like I said, on the surface level, it feels like it waters it down a bit. But as we know, as has been said so many times, reparations is not just about compensation. I mean, that's a major component in it, but there are other um, issues that need to be repaired and resolved as well. And that may be through other programming and, other means besides direct compensation.
All right. The bill would also make related findings and declarations.
Okay, so that was added, that sentence, but nothing was redacted. So just a new sentence that says the bill would also make related findings and declarations. In addition to, the bill would authorize the fund to receive monies from any other federal, state, or local grant, or from any private donation or grant as specified. The bill would also make relating findings and declarations.
Right. All right. So let's look up the term declarations. All right. So declarations is the act of declaring, announcement, something declared, or a document containing such a declaration. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty general. There wasn't anything specifically that they were talking about, what they wanted to uh,
Declare.
declare or make declaring
I mean,
of
they're going to
whatever.
be,
I don't know.
they said they're going to be findings. So I guess whatever findings they'll uncover, they'll declare them.
All right.
All right.
Yes,
What
they
else
will.
we got?
Let's see here. California's begun the process of addressing the states. So they just changed it from its to the states.
To add a bit more clarity. Okay.
It's documented in the California Reparations Report and sources cited therein. Okay, that makes pretty explanatory, self-explanatory,
Mm-hmm.
using the Reparations Task Force report.
As a reference, as they should.
Let's see, and tolerating. So they changed tolerating to facilitating.
Okay, yeah, so that makes it an active action. They weren't just, innocent bystanders.
All right, to facilitate.
Mhm.
Systemic structures of discrimination got changed to policies and practices discriminating.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that
it
makes
was
sense.
legislated. Yeah, so I mean, it was legislated discrimination.
All right, direct federal state was just changed just to state.
Okay, so they removed the federal and were focusing on the state of California and local government actions in California.
All right, state and state and was located, added in the document here.
Okay, really focusing on the culpable party in this claim, which is the state of California.
All right, so United States of America and the state of California was included.
Mm-hmm.
See section G, racist foundations was changed to policies and practices
Okay.
inflicted by colonial and state, not just colonial. What else do we have here? Once again, they redacted indemnify and added address the harm that the state of California has caused. And looks like they did the same thing on section 6631A.
Keeping it consistent.
There you go. All right. So those were the changes. And I guess you want to go with the life cycle real quick?
Yeah, let's go over and
It's
see
fairly
exactly
long.
where this bill is at in the legislative cycle.
All right. So here is, what do you call this, Kim? The mousetrap? Mouse
Mousetrap.
map?
Y'all remember that game, The
Mouse map.
Mousetrap? That's kind of what it looks like. Yeah.
All right. So here's a map. Now I can't remember where I actually got this. So please forgive me. I can't remember where I sourced this, but this is a life cycle map of the California state legislation process. Um, since we are dealing with SB 1331, let's actually quickly go through it. I'm going to blow the map up just a little bit more. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Can you see it? Okay. All right. So since this is a SB bill, a Senate bill, we'll just start. I guess we'll go a few steps before, and then we'll end. We'll go through with a few steps before, then we'll start. We'll go with a few steps before, and then we'll let you know where we're at, and then we'll end at the end. How about that? All right. So we're currently here at the committee hearing process. But before that, there's a couple of steps. The Senate bill prepared by Legislative Council, introduced by member, numbered, first reading, rules of committee, and then etc. So yeah, so we're right here. I know this bill has gone through a couple of those steps prior. So on, it was in May 13th, this upcoming May 13th, I think, Kim, right?
Monday.
Monday? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they're having a hearing in the appropriations.
Appropriations, yes.
All right. So once the bill passes, let's think positive.
Yes, once it passes.
So after that, it's going to go to what they're calling a second Senate reading. So the Senate will read it. And then it's going to go to a third Senate reading and vote. From there could be some amendments and then some more revisions for the third reading and analysis, and then back to voting again. Or once it's in this reading, debate, vote stage, it could be refused. But let's think positive that the Senate will, when it reaches the floor, it will pass.
Right, and the floor deadline that we're looking at on this Senate on these Senate bills, the Senate bills that we're watching, and all Senate bills that are going through this process currently, is May 24th.
Yeah.
Has to be heard on the floor by then.
Yeah, we'll actually go through at the end of this video so everybody could see the schedule where we're at in terms of these bills for this upcoming year. All right, so once it gets out of the Senate, then it's going to go to the Assembly. So they're going to have a first read of it. It's going to go to the Rules Committee, which they assigned the bill. All right. Then it's going to go to a committee hearing. And then that's where you can have the bill author, citizens, and experts and lobbyists give their testimony. Then the committee within the appropriations could pass it, or it could be held in the committee, which is things positive. It will pass. Then the second assembly reading, and then it's going to go to a third reading, or it might be, or might have some amendments, and then revised third reading analysis may happen, and it's going to go through that cycle, then back up to a vote, and then at that point, it could be passed or refused or passed. Then if passed, it could go straight to the governor to sign, or if there are some amendments, then it's going to go to the Senate floor for a concurrence. I believe that's a concurrence vote. And then I think the Senate has to then vote on there to return back to get it voted on so the governor can sign it. Sound about right?
It sounds about right what we're going through, but we can come back and revisit this as we go through the process. We'll definitely bring you step by step where these bills are at in the legislative cycle.
Yeah, it's going to get really funky like once it gets to the assembly, this SB 1331 and some of these other bills, because I don't know if you can see my highlights here. So this without assembly amendments. Like if there's no assembly amendments, then it looks like we're pretty much good to go to the governor. But if there are some amendments, then
Yeah, they're going to
have
have
to
to
go
get it
back to
done
the
and it's going to have to get read. But the deadlines that we're looking at, I believe, for the assembly are in August, late August. It would have to
right.
be heard on the assembly floor by then. So, regardless of amendments and everything like that, there are deadlines where it does have to go to the floor to move to the next step. So, these could be some pretty tight turnarounds, and we'll be watching every step of the way.
Yep. Actually, let's go ahead and go over that since we're talking about deadlines. All right. So we are in May. Yes, we're in May.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to blow up my screen just a tad bit if I can. Is it expanding at all or no?
Yes, it
Okay.
did.
All right, cool. All right. So we're currently May. Let's see. So May 17th. Says last day for fiscal committees to hear and report to the floor bills introduced in their House. Last day for fiscal committees to meet prior to May 28th. All right. May 20th, 2024, floor session only, which is, I guess, here.
Yeah.
May 24th, and this is the
final
date.
day
Yeah.
for it to be heard on the Senate floor, but it could happen as soon as the 20th. So we're looking at the week of the 20th through the 24th for our bills to be heard.
Right. And 24th is the last day for the bills to be passed that were introduced in that House. So this is the Senate floor that it needs to be passed on May 24th. So that's the day that we're looking at for the deadline. All right. June, the budget bill must be passed by midnight. That's important too, as obviously, things need to be considered in the budget. June
And
27th.
there's a May budget revise from the governor's office going on today. I've seen it on Twitter, shared it on Newsom's official page. So if you're interested in listening to that, that is happening today.
All right. June 15th, once again, the budget bill. Let's see, June 27th, last day for a legislative measure to qualify for the November 5th election ballot. And if I'm correct, things that may change the California state constitution will need to be a part of this deadline. Is that from your understanding too?
That's from my understanding. So, I mean, ACA 8 would fall into this category. That's the uh,
Involuntary servitude.
yeah,
Slavery.
it's involuntary servitude, but ACA, what does that mean? A Constitution Amendment. Um,
Are you
what's the
talking about the
acronym?
acronyms for
Yes.
ACA 8?
For ACAs.
ACA and um that's a good question. Let's look that up, shall we? Okay. Senate and California. Senate and Assembly.
I'm going to guess something constitutional amendment.
Assembly bill
Maybe assembly constitutional amendment.
codes. All right, so here we go. All right, let's share this. Ready? You can see at the screen.
Yes.
Here's a glossary and abbreviations. AB, Assembly Bill. ACA, Assembly Constitutional Amendment.
Booyah.
Boom. ACR, Assembly Concurrent Resolution.
Like the apology bill.
Yeah. There are some other acronyms. I don't know. Should we just not go over all these? There's quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, we got the one that I was looking for, but yeah.
RLS, Committee on Rules. I think that's important to note. I mean, these are all important. We should know every one of these, but Senate bill, obviously, SB. SCA, that's another one to know. Senate Constitution. And SCR, there's another one. It was it SCR 113, I think it is.
Yeah, the resolution was that the companion bill.
Yeah, Senate Concurrent Resolution, Secretary of State, etc., etc. So, yep. So that's ACA 8, Assembly Constitutional Amendment. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your thorough research on that.
All right. So
yes, that June 27th deadline would, reflect the AC 8 constitutional amendments to get on to the ballot in November.
And then July 3rd, last day for policy committees to meet and report bills. Summer recess. And then in August, looks like August 5th, the legislature reconvenes. August 16th, fiscal committees. August 19th, floor sessions only. August 23rd, last day to amend on the floor. August 31st, last day for each house to pass bills. So yeah, August 31st, that's, what do you call it, D-Day?
D-Day. Yeah. So, I mean, so it looks like they give the assembly or the August deadline's a little bit longer because you have from August 19th floor only to August 31st. So let's see. So yeah, a couple of weeks. Whereas this upcoming deadline, it's only the 20th through the 24th of May.
September 30th, that's the last day for a governor to sign or veto bills passed by the legislature before September 1st. And then after that, hopefully bills will get signed by the Secretary of State and get chaptered
Mm-hmm.
to become law. All right,
All
family. So
right.
yeah, so we're currently here in May, the May calendar. So May 24th, family. That's a very important day for this current bill that we're in. They're all actually important days, but gotta keep a look an eye on that date.
Yes, and we would like as much support if you're in the Sacramento area, in person support for these floor votes, but we don't know the actual date of the any of the floor votes yet. So stay tuned. Stay tuned into ETM Media for all California reparations legislation updates.
Absolutely. Let's see. Do we have the hopefully we have the thing loaded up in here. If not, then we'll just load it to the video. Let's see. Is this it? Okay. So on May the 6th, if you hadn't had a chance, SB 1403, which is another bill, the Freedmen Affairs Agency, you can check that out. And let's see. Okay, we had another one, and here we go. So this upcoming Monday, May 13th, which is going to be in appropriations, 1021 O Street, room 2200, time 10 a.m. PST. SB 1331, Bradford, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice. Looks like SB 1050 is going to be heard too. Yeah, Kim?
Yeah, looks like SB 1052. So another call to action. If you've been checking, you can check by the CJEC official social media channels such as TwitX. Um, Looking for people to write in their letters of support for these bills: SB 1331, SB 1050, SB 1013. I got our organization bills in yesterday for all three of these bills from Amend the Mass Media Group to let the Appropriations Committee know that we are in full support of these bills and urge them to vote aye.
Absolutely. And then also another one to be on the lookout for or to be aware is SB 1013, another Bradford, Senator Stephen Bradford, to be specific, the taxation and property tax assistance for descendants of enslaved. It's going to be heard as well. So please be on the lookout. We're planning on streaming this live May 13th. And as well as being in attendance and at the building. So thank you, everyone. If you haven't had a chance, you can support our channel by going to our store, obviously. We greatly appreciate that. That's etnmediagroupstore.com. That's etnmediagroupstore.com. Please pick something up, anything that you possibly can think of. We greatly appreciate it. We got some new lineage stuff up there, so check that out. And the Amazon link, support us there. For the affiliate link, just drop that in, go shopping, and yeah, I think that's about it. Obviously, can't forget about this one.
Can't forget about Reparations Now, the documentary reparations nowdoc.com, or it's also streaming on Tubi TV. So that's something you can watch this weekend, in between your reaching out to the Appropriations Committee here in California to send in your letters of support and call the office to let them know. Let them know. Just let them know.
Let them know. So we're not going to be doing the Sunday Road to Reparations community show. I know we usually have it on Sundays, but today is, or not today, but Sunday will be Mother's Day. So shout out to all the mommies out there. Love you, respect you, appreciate you, because without you, there would be no us. So thank you very much. And happy early Mother's Day to you,
Happy
Kim.
early Mother's Day.
Happy early Mother's Day. So on that note, everyone, Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Peace and reparations.
See you next time.